Hi, and welcome to Crafts with Ash. My name's Ashley, and today I am going to bring you 5 really fun gift ideas for Father's Day. So these are perfect for your husband or your dad, but I really try to think of all areas of men. So not just specifically for men, but I just try to think of different categories in which a father might be interested. So before we get started, I just wanted to welcome you, and if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, then hit that little notification bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Also, visit me on Facebook and Instagram and join my crafting community. All right, let's get started with these really fun Father's Day DIYs. Now, when I was at the Dollar Tree, I found these really neat little vinyl stickers for Father's Day. So I thought that I would come up with a couple DIYs to use with those. Now, this one is super easy. All I did was pick up this beer mug from the Dollar Tree, peeled off one of the stickers, and stuck it right on the mug. It was as easy as that. Now, I don't recommend putting this in the dishwasher. I'm thinking hand wash only, and I did go ahead and put some Mod Podge over that too, but how much simpler can you get for Father's Day? What do you think? Now my next DIY requires a little bit more work. So I picked up this 8x10 frame from the Dollar Tree, and I took everything out and then gave the frame part a good coat of Crimson Waverly chalk paint. While that was drying, I took the back of my frame and I traced it on some scrapbook paper that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and then of course I cut it out. After my frame was dry, I laid it on top of the scrapbook paper just to see positioning. And then I took this printable that I just typed up and printed on my laptop, so easy. And then I'm grabbing these little superheroes that I got in the toy section at the Dollar Tree. So I just laid them out to make sure that the positioning is going to work. Then, to make it look a little bit more, cool looking, I guess, I went ahead and ripped off the edges of my paper. After that, by using Mod Podge, I glued my paper down right in the middle of my scrapbook paper. Next, I took the glass and the frame and the backing and put everything back together, including the scrapbook paper. After that, I laid out my superheroes to make sure I liked how it looked, and then by using some super glue and some hot glue, I glued them onto the glass. So I originally saw this idea on Pinterest, and my husband is a big superhero fan, so I thought this would be so cute for my daughter to give him for Father's Day. But when I saw it, I knew that I could make it because I had seen these little figurines at the Dollar Tree, and I believe they're paperweights, that's why they look kind of weird. But I just wanted to attempt it, and it was so simple to make. But it says, strong like Hulk, silly like Spider-Man, smart like Iron Man, and brave like Captain America. So to add a little bit of embellishment, I took this blue and white star ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby at 40% off. P.S. All of their 4th of July decor is 40% off. And I hot glued it around the border of my frame. After that, I removed the backing, and then I grabbed these red sticker letters that I got from the Dollar Tree, and on the side I spelled out "My Daddy Is." Now, I meant to do this before I put it all back together, but to be honest, I forgot, so that's why I went ahead and did it now. But it actually worked out because then I could actually see what it was going to look like sizing wise and spacing wise. So after I had all of my letters down, I put the whole thing back together in the frame. And then I added one more little decal from that sheet that I got from the Dollar Tree that says "You're My Hero," and I put it down at the bottom on the glass, and that completed this super cute superhero sign. I just know my husband is going to love it, and like I said, he's a super big superhero fan, so I think he's gonna think this is so neat and really fun. So I can't wait for her to give it to him. But what do you think? All right, this next one is for all the grill kings out there. So I took this leftover sign that I had from St. Patrick's Day, and I just really liked the shape of it, so that's why I grabbed it. And then by using Mod Podge, I went ahead and glued this scrapbook paper that I got from Hobby Lobby down to the sign. Now, when you apply Mod Podge, you want to give it a nice thin but even layer all over your surface. That way it really cuts down on the bubbling or the wrinkling. But like I said, you just want to make it very even and very thin. After my paper was glued down, I took my scissors and just cut off the excess paper that was hanging over, and then I took my sanding block and sanded it in the down direction to give it that nice clean edge. Now for the parts that were smaller, because again this is kind of a weird shape, I actually took sandpaper and got into the little grooves to make sure that that gave it a nice clean cut. Real quick, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to my channel. If you are new, thank you so much for stopping by. I really hope that you love what you see today, and stick around for a while by subscribing to my page and checking out some of the other video DIYs that I have posted in the past. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I truly hope that you are enjoying everything that you see, and I can't wait to share more. After that, I took this sign that was a YouTube DIY fail and never made it to my YouTube channel, but it did come from the Dollar Tree, and I deconstructed it, so I had some ribbon on there, so I just basically took everything off, including that tag, because I'm going to use the back of it. Now, I did make sure to sand it down because there was some residue from the sticker and the hot glue that I had on there. That way it was nice and smooth. Then I gave it 2 really good coats of that Crimson Waverly chalk paint. And I did make sure to paint around the edges as well. After my red sign was dry, I took these big black letters that I got from the Dollar Tree and spelled out Grill Master right in the middle. Now the last R that I had left over on my sheet, I had actually painted white for another DIY project that I didn't end up doing. So to fix that, I just easily painted over it with my black paint pen, or you can also use some black acrylic paint. After I had all of my letters down and positioned how I liked, I took my white paint pen and made some stitching marks all the way around the perimeter of the red sign. Next, I went ahead and hot glued my sign onto the bottom sign. Now, I did make sure to put it up towards the top, which you'll see because I need a little bit of space on the bottom. After that, I took these silver thumbtacks that I got from the Dollar Tree and I attempted to push them into the little sign, but it didn't work. So instead of fighting it, I just decided to use my wire cutters to cut off the tack part, and you want to make sure that you cover it with your hand or else they will go flying across the room. But once I had them all cut down, I just simply hot glued one tack to each corner. Then to protect my letters, I gave that a coat of Mod Podge right on top. After that, I took these command hooks, or off-brand command hooks that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I purposely got the silver ones, and I took out 4 and just put them all across the bottom. Now they are adhesive, but these are going to be holding like grilling tools, so I decided that I wanted to give it some extra support. So I did peel off the backing, and then I used super glue and hot glue to glue these down. I figured that might be a little stronger than just the adhesive itself. This is your friendly reminder that if you're loving what you see so far, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Not only does it help my channel grow, but it also tells YouTube that you like seeing my content and that you want to see more. So that way it'll show up in your suggested videos or on your homepage. So please give this video a like. It would be greatly appreciated. After my hooks were glued down, I flipped it over, and by using a ruler, I lined up these little hooks that I had just in my stash, and I did use super glue and hot glue to glue them down. I did not have any nails or anything, plus I kind of thought that they would go through this thin board. So I'm just going to attempt this. Now, I do have to say that when I hung this to take pictures, it actually worked out pretty well, but I actually added some twine to the back through those little loops, and then I tied it, so you'll see when we get to the pictures. But I think it worked out pretty well. I mean, I wouldn't put anything super heavy on this, but I do really love the way that this came out. I think it is very masculine, and for me it was hard to think of masculine or create masculine style because I'm just not, so but I really do love how this came out, and I can't wait to display it by our grill. What do you think? This next one is another super easy one. So I found this toolbox at the Dollar Tree, and it's actually a pretty decent size. Now, I originally started off by cutting up one of those stickers that I got from that sheet, and then I changed it, but I was going to spell out Dad's Stash, but I really didn't like how that looked. So what I ended up doing was taking off that little dad's and then that mustache, and then I just moved the word stash over and just used the letters to put on the dad's. So you'll see here in 1 second what I'm talking about. Now for this, instead of putting tools inside, I thought that I would put some of his favorite snacks or beverages in it. That way he can kind of take it along with him on site. He works out in the city, so he could keep it in his truck or in his car, and then he can have his little snack stash. Ooh, that's what I should have put, Dad's stash. Snack stash. Say that 3 times fast. But I think he's really going to love it because he loves to snack. But after I put my letters down, I did go ahead and throw some Mod Podge on top to protect them, and that completed this little toolbox, and I think it's so cute. But what do you think? This next one is kind of a fun one. So I saw this little basketball hoop in the toy section. So I picked it up because I thought that I could make something fun and functional with it. So the first thing I did was took it out of the packaging, and then by using a screwdriver, I flipped it over and took out the screws that's holding the hoop part in. After that, I took some Dollar Tree spackling and filled in all of the holes. Now you can actually skip this step because I ended up re-poking through those holes. Now when I started this, I really didn't know where I was going with it, so I'm kind of creating this as I go. But after the spackling dried, I just went ahead and sanded it off, and then I gave this hoop 2 coats of Waverly chalk paint, and I am using the back of it. After my white paint was dry, I took my blue Ocean Waverly chalk paint and a really nice square shaped brush, and I just outlined the perimeter of this hoop. Now after that dried, I went through and doubled up. So you'll see that I actually added 2 layers to make it a little bit more wide. Once that was dry, I took this sheet of Dad's stickers and I took off the one that says number 1 Dad, and I put it right on the top, right underneath that hole. Now I do end up moving it in just a little bit, but that's where I put it for at that moment. Then I went ahead and put the hoop back together, but I put it on backwards, so now the back is the front and the hoop was on our now front, if that makes sense. Now this next part is going to require a lot of gluing because we really want this to be very strong. So I did go ahead and hot glue that little hook that's going to hold the hoop. I glued that to the back, and then I also glued where the holes are in the back. Sorry, I'm out of frame here, but I just added a ton of glue to the back where those holes are because, like I said, this needs to be very, very strong and be able to support a little bucket that we're going to put in the hoop. So there we go. I just put some hot glue. Then I put my hoop back on, but you're going to see that I add some hot glue right here, and then I push it back on and hold it until it sets. Now I do also bring in some super glue to help reinforce it and to give it a stronger hold. After that, I took this blue tin bucket that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I simply removed the handle just by pulling it out, and then I put the bucket in the hoop. Now you can see that the hoop part is a little bigger than the bucket, so what I decided to do was to actually hot glue and super glue the bucket to the back of the hoop on that little black piece that's holding the hoop. It'll be easier to see what I'm doing, but I just added a bunch of super glue to the back and then some hot glue, and then I put my tin in and then just pushed it down and held it until it set. Now here, as you can see, I'm just going in with the super glue and the hot glue and just reinforcing some gaps that I see. But there was a major gap between the little hook that's holding the hoop and the backboard. So I just cut down a mini craft stick, and before I hot glued it in there, I did take my black paint marker and I painted it black. And then after that, I glued it where there was the little gap. And that seemed to really work. It really filled in the gap and gave it some extra support. Now, because you could see the hot glue once I was done gluing it, I did take my black paint marker, and I don't show this, but I also painted over the hot glue so it all blended in. After that, I took the net out of the packaging and I put the bucket in the middle of the net and then just attached the net on the little spaces where the net is supposed to go. After my net was on my little hoop, I took these clear off-brand command hooks that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I went ahead and I just used the adhesive backing for these, but I put them at the bottom of my backboard. After that, to add more color, I took that red crimson chalk paint from Waverly and painted my hooks with that. Then I took a nice square brush and that red chalk paint, and I just made a square around my decal. After all that was dry, I gave my decal a good coat of Mod Podge so that way it will stay down. Then to complete this, I went ahead and took my black paint marker and made the stitching lines all around the inside white part of my backboard. I really thought this would be a neat idea because the joke between my husband and I is that he always forgets either his keys or wallet or sunglasses or nowadays his mask. So I thought if he had one place to put it all when it's right outside the door, then he won't forget. So that way he can do a check. But I thought that this bucket was also perfect for some loose change or something light. I wouldn't put anything heavy, but I really loved how this came out. What do you think? So my goal for all of these DIY Father's Day gift ideas was to make things that were fun but functional as well. And like I said, it was kind of tough for me to come up with some masculine ideas because I'm such a girly girl, and also, you know, I wanted to make things that everyone had access to. Not everyone has a vinyl cutter or a Cricut or a Silhouette, so I really wanted to use items that were easy to get and that we could all use. But I really love how all of these came out. Now, my husband nor my dad are really big with the grill, so I'm gonna have to find someone to give that to. But everything else, I think my husband is really going to enjoy. So you're gonna have to let me know down in the comments which one was your favorite gift idea. I definitely think that the superhero gift and the beer mug were my favorite, only because, like I said, my husband really loves superheroes, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that we own a character company, so sometimes he portrays some superheroes, so that just hits kind of close to home for us, so it's very special. But just let me know which one that you might attempt or which one was your favorite. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you were inspired and got some great ideas to create your own Father's Day gifts as well. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, then hit that notification bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Also, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Well, until I see you again, I'll craft with you soon. Bye!